here with Joey Angeles, SBIR Program Director for the Air Force SBIR STTR Program Office. So sir, first off, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to have this chat. So let's go ahead and jump right in with the first question. So what are the benefits of participating in the other Air Force SBIR STTR events and some of the opportunities that are out there for small businesses?
There's a lot of opportunities in the SBIR STTR world. I mean, in terms of, right now, obviously, there's the open topics that's run by AF Ventures. We've also got what we're calling organization-specific programs. So, you know, the Pitch Days is one that's been around for now a couple of years, the one that started out in New York. I got to participate in one with the mobility and training aircraft during the life cycle industry days. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities out there for individuals to individual small business concerns to be able to participate in the Air Force Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer programs. So, you know, being new, this is my third week here in the program, and it's definitely an eye-opener to see how many opportunities we have, especially you know, with the new open topics that's run by AF Ventures, but then also the topics that are run by our, you know, technology directors, our other centers, whether lifecycle management centers, and the program executive officers within the lifecycle management centers.
So before we go into the next question, sir, can you elaborate for those that may be listening to this right now that aren't 100% familiar? Can you define a little bit more the difference between the open topics versus the traditional topics?
The open topics is really run by AF Ventures. So I'll take a step back and talk about AFWorks. You've probably heard of AFWorks. It's the organization that is accelerating, you know, innovation and technology for the Air Force. They have three main efforts: technology, talent, and transfer. The technology piece of it is run by AF Ventures. And AF Ventures is the lead for the open topics. And the open topics are traditional phase 1, phase 2, and then phase 2 plus, if you will, but I'll focus on the phase 1s and the phase 2s. They also have direct to phase 2s. The open topic, they're smaller amount, maybe referred to traditionally as small bets, up to $50,000, 3 months. It's a feasibility study, and then they can move on after that, potential to move on to a phase 2. So that's kind of our, I wouldn't say main focus, but that's plenty of opportunities for a lot of small businesses that haven't had prior work with the United States Air Force to be able to come in and present what potential product or service that requires research and development and test evaluation to meet a warfighter need. So that's the open topics. And then the next one is the, you know, for traditional topics, you think about, like we have in the Air Force Research Lab, we have technology directorates like Information Directorate, Sensors Directorate, Aerospace Directorate. We can also refer to them as defense-focused topics, or we are calling a lot of these, you know, I guess if you call them traditional topics, those are the ones that you're looking at in terms of organization-specific programs, and those are more of the traditional lines of what we've had in the past prior to the open topics for the ability for our small businesses submit a proposal for.
Awesome, thank you for expanding that. I know in the course of the Tech Warrior Enterprise program, we've got small businesses who kind of are confused on that. So thank you so much for clarifying the difference between the new open topics and the traditional topics that are put out from the different organizations.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just one thing, just because we're in a transition right now. Right now, the Center of Excellence, Air Force, you know, Small Business Innovation Research, Small Business Technology Transfer Center of Excellence is currently under the Air Force Research Lab Small Business Directorate. We're in the process of actually going to becoming part of AFWorks officially here pretty soon, and so we'll be part of that, you know, innovation ecosystem of expanding the, you know, the technology, talent, and transfer for the Air Force.
Once that aligns, I believe that's going to be more of a single point for small businesses. They won't have to bounce around, that is, you go through one organization, you get to the next and the next, and make them more simplified for that small business so that we can accelerate technologies to be in the men and women that are out there on the front lines so they have the best technologies. Absolutely. How's the SBIR program staying agile to support the ever-changing small business environment? You kind of alluded to the new alignment,
yep.
So I assume that's going to be a good jump-off point there.
That's why one of probably the main reasons that the Air Force Small Business SBIR Program Center of Excellence has been put under AFWorks is to be able to have some synergies with you know, the innovation ecosystem. Like I mentioned, AF Ventures runs the open topics, which, you know, I look at as the Air Force SBIR program funding it's an enabler for that. So AF Ventures has open topics, but they have other, programs that they're working as well. And then we also have some touch points with our Spark, which is the talent piece of AFWorks, as well as Prime, which is the transition part. In terms of agility, we're really working fast and working hard to get things on contract faster. In terms of goals and trying to, when the solicitation closes, into actually awarding phase 1 and phase 2 contracts. So we're working with all our stakeholders, the program managers out there in the technology directorates, the centers, our AF Ventures, partners, as this partner division within AFWorks. And then we're also working with all our contracting officers, financial managers, and just the whole team to go end-to-end, to go fast in terms of getting our folks on contracting, getting them through phase 1s, and then competing and getting them through phase 2s. And so the key there is working all together with all our functionals within our AFWorks organization to make sure, and within the the Air Force SBIR sitter ecosystem, to work fast together to make sure that we're getting those innovative ideas from these small businesses to our warfighters' hands.
That's some great points you brought up, sir. I think that from a small business perspective, that the Air Force is kind of leading the way of trying to, for lack of better words, get more technologies in the funnel to get folks out there to help the men and women that are on the front lines out there that are protecting us. So the Air Force is kind of reshaping and looking and actually listening to the small businesses, rather than saying, I know best for you as a small business. We're adapting to their needs to suit them so that we can get as many products out to the warfighter. So I applaud the Air Force and the Center of Excellence and AFWorks and AF Ventures for looking at that and synergizing efforts, rather than, it's easy to go, my product's the best and I'm going to stand alone. Bringing them all under one hub is an amazing idea, and I believe 5 years from now, when we look back at this, look at how many companies, millions of dollars were spent, maybe even billions, and we've prevented or destroyed our enemy in the future based off of where we are sitting today 5 years from now. So that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree. It's it's all about the warfighter. Coming from a program management in the acquisition program executive officer world, it's really what it's about, getting that capability to the warfighter, and in our case, looking for that technology out in the small business areas, which is the lifeblood of the Air Force economy, right?
That's awesome. You brought up a very good point of one of the hallmarks of what we preach inside the Tech Warrior Enterprise, and you've heard us say this, that it is about that men and women that are out there as the warfighter, and your program allows companies the ability to come in and get that out to the folks that maybe not leveraging such a program would take years and years, to where now we're able to accelerate them to get into the warfighter's hands at a rapid speed. So applaud you for this work that you're doing and helping these small businesses. You alluded to it earlier in your statement of the pitch days. So are there any upcoming pitch days and or SBIR, STTR organizations that small businesses, with tactical ops being the topic of this current event, that should pay attention to, that, if I have one of these devices, is there something that you could give us that would make my ears perk up and go, I can't wait for that date? Yeah,
so as far as tactical ops for pitch days, the upcoming pitch days, we actually publish that on our website. You'll see those future ones coming up. We're actually doing one right now. There's a pitch day for digital engineering. That's kind of more focused on the digital engineering, what's going on with the Pathfinders that we have in the Air Force, is the ET-7A, which is the new aircraft, as well as the ground-based strategic deterrence. I don't know if tactical ops would have something in that. The next one, we're having one in April, like a sustainment type pitch day, and so there might be something up in there. And then this summer we have a trusted artificial intelligence pitch day. I think it's right now scheduled about the July-August timeframe. So there's definitely pitch days coming up that people might be interested in. But as far as opportunities for tactical ops, there's always opportunities, with the open topics or with specific focused topics that come out with the technology directorates. Being the new guy looking through our website, I look at we're the venture capital fund of the Air Force, and trying to find those small businesses that can get our capabilities to the warfighter. Anything that we can to present opportunities for any community, including the tactical ops community. You'll find it on that website. You'll also find it on the AFWorks website under AF Ventures. There's opportunities out there as well.
And it's another thing that I think the Air Force is leading the way of, that sometimes it can be a little bit cumbersome manipulating through different websites.
Yep.
But with your organization through AFWorks, AF Ventures, and the COE, they're shared in multiple different places using the social media, something that some of the younger generation thrives off of the Facebook and Instagram and all that other stuff that I'm a little bit too seasoned to understand. But they can find them there in multiple places that folks are sharing them all over. So as a small business, if you look, you're probably going to find it without having to poke around too long, versus maybe 10 years ago, you'd have to scrub through a bunch of documents. Again, staying with the theme of accelerating the information along with the technologies to make sure that folks are getting the best information. What does the SBIR, STTR do to leverage capabilities in underserved businesses and underserved geographic locations throughout the U.S.?
We have an outreach program that's led by our comm team in the COE. We definitely try to go out and provide training and show the opportunities that are out there for everybody. The nature of our small business innovation research, it's a full and open competition for all our phase 1s and phase 2s, and so we definitely try to do better outreach. We can definitely work on doing more outreach to those, those geographic and demographics that have those great technologies that we're looking for, and so definitely looking at expanding our outreach and our training and our community outreach for all those organizations.
I do know a couple years ago, looking at that specific topic, it's actually expanded with the road tours that are obviously shut down because of the pandemic right now. But it's one of those things of, if you're in one of those communities, you're doing everything in your power and your team is out there educating and socializing all the information, but you can't help the folks and you can't write the reports and everything that goes with it for those folks. So they've got to take that step and meet you at least halfway, to where if one is submitted from that geographic area and it's not selected, it looks worse than 0 being submitted. It's almost the same. So if you're a small business listening to this, you need to tie yourself in and get educated, but you also need to take this step. It goes back to my statements on the opening day of this event of, you've got to be willing to put in. So if you're putting 50% in, obviously your team is going to help match that 50%, maybe exceed it, but it's still on that company. You can't feed them. You can show them where food is, you can point in the right direction of where to gather all the stuff, but at the end of the day, they have to pick the fork up and put the food in their mouth. They need to be willing to listen to the education that your team and AFWorks and AF Ventures is putting out there, but they also need to be able to take that extra step to help themselves. One of the sayings, and I think it's applicable here, is you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And some companies need to be taking that drink to get over that next step, to take advantage of the amazing programs that you have inside your ecosystem. I want to expand upon something that you said, and maybe we could have a little bit more conversation on. One of the main reasons that I believe programs like Tech Warrior Enterprise and why the COE has had such success, even as we're in a pandemic, that we're able to continue to move forward, is that I believe if we were able to search every single worker that's on both sides of the fence, your team and in the enterprise, Tech Warrior Enterprise team, that we see their hearts are truly in it. Yes, they love their job, but at the end of the day, they know that it's supporting the warfighter. Do you believe that that is the driving factor of why not only our two teams, but AF Ventures, AFWorks, has been able to move the ball such a long way down the field versus some other, maybe sister services, or even looking outside the window right now at the local populace? Is the heart of having the warfighter mentality and driven by them? Do you think that that's one of the factors that help us push that along further?
Yeah, I think for me, speaking for me and from a lot of the folks that are on my team or a lot of folks that I've met, it's it's the defense, right? The Department of Defense, the defense of our country, right? And so that's kind of what a lot of us, especially my peers in AFWorks, it's all about our competition, our near peer competition, right? A lot of us read the Chief of Staff's Accelerate, Change or Lose, and we're in that that near peer competition where we definitely need to accelerate our technology. We're in the a world of technological revolution that just keeps getting faster and faster and faster. When growing up during the Cold War, it was a long slug, but now you can see how fast technology changes every day, and we don't know where that technology is going to come from, that game-changing technology. it's different, right? Stealth was specifically military, and nowadays with with cyber, with artificial intelligence, that's a lot out. It's ubiquitous. It's out there in the commercial world, and so the motivation for me and for a lot of my peers is really the defense of our country. Doing the nation's bidding when if ever called, and so that's why we needed to tap into that 80% of commercial innovation to be able to meet military requirements. So at the end of the day, that's really what a lot of us come to work for is really to provide the best air and space force that our nation demands from us.
And we are leading, and we're the tip of the spear of what we're doing. So thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. I know you've got a lot of things, and it's important for our audience to hear from the director of the Air Force SBIR STTR program that they may not always get the ability. So if there's any small businesses out here, I would direct them to go to the Air Force website. We'll go ahead and post the link in the chat here so that you can go. And if they have direct questions, we'll help filter them. And then in your leisure, if you could answer some of those if them come in or filter them to your team, that would be great.
Absolutely.
So any last final words before we conclude, sir?
Well, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. This is my first Fireside chat, if you will, as the the COE director, and so I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity. And it's a new world for me, but I know coming from the acquisition world, program office world, my mantra was always it's all about the warfighter, and you had mentioned that earlier in our chat or our talk. And for me, I always think about, I was a logistics officer, I think about the airmen that's out there in Bagram, Afghanistan, making their life easier with technology or whatever that we can provide for them. And I know that there's small businesses out there that have innovation that can definitely deliver for us, and we're lowering the barriers to entry to be able to help out with the open topics. But we're also in the other organization-specific programs with the pitch days and with the traditional topics. There's definitely a lot of opportunities in getting those connections and being able to do research and development on a product or service that potentially can have military utility, but definitely on the commercial world as well. So, but thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, it's a privilege and an honor to be the first to sit down and interview you. That's historical, so I really greatly appreciate the opportunity to do this.
Just want to say thank you for all those businesses out there that are that have that, innovation mindset, or that have that technology that they want to, be able to support, our country, especially through the Department of Defense, specifically the Air Force and the Space Force. We're here to serve, not just our military and not just provide, but also to, to serve our small business concerns, and that's what we're here for. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. So, concluding like I conclude almost all of my endings, God bless you. God bless America.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir.